What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Wicked. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking about anything movie, TV show, video game later, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, today we're talking about Wicked. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, I was actually pretty interested into this movie because Wizard of Oz has always been a fun movie for me. I don't watch it that often, but I never really knew anything about the Wicked play. I just found out that this was based off of a Broadway play just last night after I finished watching it because my fiance let me know. And it's a pretty interesting story. It's an interesting story of trying to tell the origin of where the Wicked Witch came from and where the princess came from and all that kind of stuff. So I was really intrigued. I'm a decent fan when it comes to musicals as well. So that part of it didn't really bother me or didn't really kind of deter me, from kind of watching this movie. So for the most part, I was actually pretty excited to come in and see this film. Now, starting off with my pros, I think that the production value of this movie was done very, very well. Whatever the budget is, I don't even know what the budget is, but whatever it is, you can see it on screen. I think for the most part, everything looks really, really good. All the special effects, all the kind of vast cities that they kind of make here, all the magical elements and the way things look, everything for the most part looks very, very good and dazzling. And for a movie that definitely relies a lot on CGI, especially when it comes to showing the vastness of some of these cities, it actually looks very, very well. And it's very dazzling, very pleasing, very pretty to see on screen. So overall production value, I think, was done very, very well. And I like the dynamic between Ariana Grande's character as like the princess, or like kind of the person that is like the rich girl in the school. And then we have, of course, the Wicked Witch, which she's not really known for as of yet. But I do like the dynamic between them two, where they both start kind of bickering with each other, and they start to kind of realize how they have many things in common, and they start to feel bad for each other and become very, very close friends. And even out to the end, where there's so much conflicting emotions between all of them and a couple other characters that you see towards the end as well. It definitely brings a very nice, unique dynamic. It definitely has a lot of heart to it. There's a lot of emotion to it. There's a lot of great moments that definitely feel earned. It doesn't feel like a fake kind of, it doesn't feel like it's fake, it doesn't feel like it's orchestrated when it comes to their kind of camaraderie between each other. I think it does feel very organic, and you definitely see these two actors definitely pouring their heart out on screen. And overall, I actually really like the story as well of the origin of these two characters. Now, I'm sure this is canon. I'm not, from what I heard, this is a movie based off of a play, which the play was based off of a book. So I'm sure this is all like actual stuff. This is not like a made up origin that someone wanted to kind of create. This is probably a real origin of these two characters, and it kind of gives you a different perspective of these characters, where if you go back now to go watch the original Wizard of Oz movie, you might have a different viewpoint on the Wicked Witch, and you might kind of feel a little bad for her, a little sad, and how she kind of was an outcast, and it's a little bit of a different emotion watching Wicked than when you watch Wizard of Oz, where you have the clear good guys and the clear bad guys. This doesn't have that. There's a lot of kind of grayness within the story, and that's not in a bad way. I think it does it in a very good way, where you don't know who to root for, and you don't know how to feel towards certain characters, except for some of the ones that you can clearly tell aren't doing the best thing. But between our main cast here, there's a little bit of that conflicting emotion, and I think this kind of builds upon that very, very well, and it tells a very compelling origin story. And while I have some sort of maybe negatives when it comes to the ending, which we'll get into that a little bit later, I do still like the way the movie wrapped up. I think the movie wrapped up in a very epic way. There was a lot of grand things going on. It was a huge kind of climax towards the end that I really enjoyed, and that's probably where I had the most fun with the movie. Everything felt very, very well paced, but that portion of the movie, I think, just felt extremely fun, really epic, really emotional, and I think it was a very good ending to this movie. And lastly, before I go into my cons, is even though this movie is almost a 3-hour long movie, I think the pacing is done very well. You do feel it in certain instances. However, overall, I think this is a fun movie that you can definitely watch. It's paced very well. There's a lot of great things kind of going on. The story's compelling, the characters are compelling, so you definitely invest yourself within the movie, so you never really feel bored at any point at any time. So I think the directing was done very well, the shot choices, the pacing. This was a very, very fun movie to watch on screen. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And one little con, this might kind of not be the greatest con for a lot of people. This might get me a little in trouble, but I didn't really think that a majority of the music numbers here were actually that good. I never found myself ever trying to sing along or remembering any of the music numbers or feeling like they kind of felt forced. Not forced in the sense, but it didn't feel like very abrupt. I feel like there's a lot of musicals where the musical numbers are a way to kind of continue the story forward. This didn't really feel like that. This felt more so of singing for singing's sake, you know? So, and apart from that, like I said, I didn't really think I enjoyed the songs themselves that much either. There were certain ones that actually felt a little bit better than others, a little more catchy than others, but for the majority of it, I'll say 80% of the songs, I didn't really care for too much. They weren't bad, but for a musical, you want to have good songs in it. And for me, they didn't really just hit that much. And for me, one of the biggest cons is walking into this movie knowing that it's a part one of two. I don't know how the play goes. I don't know what the storyline is going beyond this movie. But when you have an almost 3 hour long movie and you are just giving us the part one, that feels a little cheap. It feels a little frustrating because when, like I said, when we get to that climax towards the end, I think it's a good ending because of how epic it was and how, you know, how it sets up a lot of different things. But I wanted more. It didn't feel like a satisfying ending. It felt like, all right, see you next time type of ending. And that was a little frustrating. And I knew walking into this movie before that it was a part one or two because I saw a post on Instagram that part two was coming out a year from today or from the day of release. And that was a little annoying, you know, because there's been a lot of movies in the past few years that fall into that part one, part two kind of motion, and it's not the best all the time. You know, I'm hoping that the part two is a great continuation, and I'm sure it will be, but it is a little upsetting and frustrating when you have a part one of two of a movie that felt so grand and so huge and very highly marketed, and it felt like it was going to tell a full complete origin story, and it just doesn't. It tells one half of it. So we'll see how I feel about it once part two comes out, if that's going to be another 3 hour long movie, because then even then, if it is, if you want to do a 1-2 punch, that's a 6 hour long runtime in total if it is another almost 3 hour long movie. So it is a little upsetting that it is a part one of two. But I think that's going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about Wicked in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear all of you guys' thoughts. But again, if you guys like Tom, I think movie, TV show, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.